Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. Now, yesterday I did start this entire conversation over where we should be earning in the game, and I went through the individual earnings and what we should be expecting with the sovereignty earnings to add to our total. Now, obviously, I veered off the course because I originally planned to make it as the earnings per individual and the earnings per corp. Now, today I'm going to be touching on where our corp should be earnings and what our corp should be getting as investments to move forward. Now, at current, as I said, 250 million, you can push to a billion with a very strong team. And obviously, once sovereignty drops, you might be able to get back to the billions a week. So, where should our corps be earning? Well, each and every corp should be really earning hard. And sorry, and the corp should be earning around a figure of 5 to 6 billion a day. Now, why should they be earning so much? Well, there are three reasons. Number one, they need to be getting ready for sovereignty. So they need to be investing 2 billion a day to get everything ready for those structures. Those structures will cost about 25 billion at 100% efficiency. So obviously, if you don't have 100% efficiency, you're not going to be getting that maximum output. So it's a big thing. You need to be investing really serious amounts of income. Sorry about that. So there you go. That's why you need 2 billion for the corp. Now, what else do you need for the corp? You need an additional 3 billion. Now, the 3 billion comes into a very important factor. With everything that you're going to be putting into sovereignty, you're going to want to have very powerful defenses for your stations. You don't want to drop a corp station and have it blown up because you ran with a standard doctrine. You want to have a doctrine that's so powerful and so expensive that it actually does help hold on to the 24 billion investment that you put up. So how are you going to do this here? Well, you're going to have to invest 24 billion again. So you're going to be building ships, and you're going to be building high power ships. So about 3 billion a day invested into buying ships. So let's say that your corp has 200 players. How long will it take you to build 200 assault battle cruisers? Well, assault battle cruisers, if I'm going to build 200, it's going to be about 200 million per ship. That is about the perfect sorry, that is the perfect with expert level skills for it on production. That is about how much you're going to be able to purchase them, produce them at 200 million. So 200 million a piece. You've got 3 billion to spend. That's about 15 per day. So if I want to get up to 200, it's going to take a few days. Obviously, 10 days is going to be 150, and then obviously you need about 5 days after that there. So 15 days to get your basic up, but that's only your first part of building these ships. In order to have a good defense, you need to have good fittings on those ships, but that still isn't yet even where we're going. You also have to have backups for their ships so that even when people lose ships, they have the replacements. So you have to build a second run of those ships. So it's another 15 days. There you go. Now you have 20 ships. Sorry, now you have 2 ships per person, but it still isn't enough because 2 ships is enough to only counter for 2 attacks. And you need to think about it. People are going to lose 3 ships, and that is what you're going to have to reach at to the maximum for players to be at that level. So you're going to have to produce even more ships on top of that. So your third run of production for that particular role, and there we go. Now we're getting into the real thing. It's going to take about 45 days at 3 billion just to produce the ships. Now we need to fit them out. What are we going to fit them with? We can't go with basic fittings because we need those ships to be really powerful. So we're going to be going and investing in some expensive fittings. So what is that going to cost us? Around 30 to 40 million per rig, and that's 3 rigs per ship. That's 120 million. And then there's even more expensive rigs for these ships. We're not going to be touching them, obviously, so we're going to go with the cheaper options in the same class. So about 200 million once again with all the rigs on the ship. So 200 million to just rig out the ship so that it's fairly capable of doing battle. There's another 60 days of 3 billion. Sorry, not 60. Another 45 days of 3 billion. That means it's going to take us 90 days to accommodate these builds in our ships. That's not good enough. We need to be earning more. We need to be pushing more. That's why the corps need you to be doing high-end missions. Now, some corps aren't investing in high-end missions. They're just investing in doing what they call mining and industry. So they're using small amounts of resources to build everything at a much cheaper rate. So instead of it costing you 220 million, 200 million, when all the materials come from the corp at that lower purchase rate, it's costing you around 120 million. So 120 million to a battle cruiser, yes, it does make a big difference, but it only is saving you a little bit of time. You're still making the exact same income overall. Actually, you're making slightly less. So you're going to be producing at a lower rate. You need more income to come in. Now, obviously, your first purchase of Doctrine in terms of those battle cruisers should be a purchase by the player. So the players are all going to purchase that very first ship from the corp. So if you count it as all 200 players invest 200 million, that's 200 times 200 million to 20, it's 40 billion coming in instantly for that first production. It's going to make a quick and easy production. Everybody has the first and primary ship, and then everything else can be produced. So 30 days to get all the ships produced. Everybody will fit out their first ship, but the second and third ships are all for the corp to fit out. So it's going to take 60 days to get it all ready. So your corp should have been on this year already. That's where all the corp money is going. And as for the station parts, as I said, they're costing billions a piece, 25 billion a piece. And at 2 billion a day, by the time you reach the mid of that 15, that's 30 billion to each of the stations being invested. So that's 60 billion for 2 stations. That's only 2 corp stations. Your corp can fit 5 stations in its region. So that's a massive amount. Obviously, I'm not counting the alliance as a whole. Now, your alliance as a whole can only hold the 5 stations, so you could be spreading it out to 1 station per corp. And that is where everything needs to be. You need to be holding back up to make a second station in case the first one goes kaboom. Now, I'm saying kaboom instead of gets destroyed, just because I wanted to have a little bit of fun. So that is my dramatical flair on why the corps need to be earning massive figures. But is there more to this? Yes, there is more to this. What do we need to be doing as players for our corps? Well, we need to be pushing so hard on the earnings that we really burning ourselves very close to the maximum. Our corps should be avoiding conflict as much as possible, putting up stations, holding as much region as possible. Yeah, you can do that right now. You can try and push it a little bit because it's going to be easier ops, but you don't want to push it for too long. You don't want to push your ops too far. So anything going past the 1.5 to 2 hour mark shouldn't be tried too often. If you're going to do it once a week. Don't do it every second day or every day of the week. So make sure that if you are pushing these things, push them slowly so that your players have time to earn for your corp. So once your corp has these massive funds in their account and they reach up to these massive figures, your corp will start being able to build again after that week. And there you go, you're back on the track. Everything is fully loaded. 60 days, your corp is ready for sovereignty. You jump into sovereignty, all the extra modules are sitting in your station. They drop the packs for the modules for sovereignty. You're already ready. Everything was produced and ready in that station. Build it all up, get it ready, fill it up into those areas. There you go, perfect little production set already in those sectors. Everybody can jump in and they can do dead spaces. Someone jumps in to attack the station, everybody who was doing dead spaces jumps out of their dead spaces, wipes them out, and that's the end of it. You've helped yourself build your defense. You need to make sure that one of those areas is so heavily sought after by your players that it will not be left alone. You want those dead space spawns to be as high as possible. So if you can overstack, if you can stack those modules onto a Capsulia outpost, stack them on the Capsulia outpost. If it costs you billions to run them, make sure that your corp knows they have to produce so much. They have to invest so much into those regions. If you're going to be renting in the area, you must invest at least 20 to 30 million. That is a compulsory for every person. Fine, 20 million a day, they drop it into the account, they go in there, they whack through all of those dead spaces, they make 300, 400, 500 million a day. They're happy. Obviously, if things don't go the right way and the spawn rates don't really improve that much, they're really hurting the player base. And as I said, it is a possibility that NetEase might do that there, or they might try and hook the player base back again. because obviously a dying player base is a very bad thing. I don't know how much longer the game has, to be honest. I'm also in the process of wanting to leave this game. It is that bad for me. I went from earning billions to earning millions, as I said personally. I can only imagine how Corps feel. Corps most probably went from earning hundreds of billions to earning a few billion a day. And this is where things get really bad. If they keep falling down at this level, if things drop below a certain level, all these corps will just disband. And it's not like they're going to disband overnight. You're going to see, oh, you know what, we have 100 active players. The next day we have 60 active players. Okay, right, you know what, some people are taking a break. The next week we have 20 active players. In your corp, there's only 5 active players. In another corp, there's 2. In another corp, there's 3. It's too small. You're having a war, it's a 10-man fight. You're going around, you're only ratting in your corp because there's only a small number of players. You have 50-man fleets, they're pointless. End of the day, you're just going to jump out of everything. You're not going to want to be part of the game if it keeps dropping at the rate it's dropping. So that is where your corp needs to earn. That is why they need to spend, I get there. And your spend from the side of what I was saying you were earning in the previous video, this is where your earning needs to go, especially if you're only at the 250. 2 days goes straight to Plex, right? And that's per month. That's every 30 days. The rest of the 28 days is going to go several days towards getting your high-end assault battleship. So you're going to want to have that assault battleship that you're purchasing that's part of your corp's doctrine. Now, obviously, your corp needs to make sure they're easily available. They're there for you. All right, now I understand some corps have different methods to it. Some corps have easy methods. Some corps have hard methods to getting ships. But this is it. It needs to be easily accessible for a player. You need to make sure that players can just come in there and ask, do we have any of these? Yeah, we have 5 for sale in the hangar. I can sell you one right now. Okay, yeah, how much is it? 200 million because you're a player of the corp, right? There's it, purchase done. As fast as possible. You want them to be able to get hold of them. You want them to get a feel for their ships. Now, when it comes to these ships, you need to make sure that you accommodate the 2 or 3 different doctrines that you have. You can't play a single doctrine. As I said, there's so much of weakness in a single doctrine. If you have all shield tanking ships, I can go in with the laser fleet and decimate you. Or I can go in with the 2-piece fleet, laser and cannon, and the lasers are going to decimate your shields, and the cannons are just going to rip through you because you don't have any defense on that level. The cannons weren't doing much to your shields, but the lasers were really hurting you, and then all of a sudden, after the lasers stopped hurting you, you just got ripped apart like you weren't there. And your entire fleet went from being very powerful to being very weak. That's because you don't want to have single form fleets. You want to have multi-form fleets. And don't count on the drone doctrines to help you, because drone doctrines are falling behind in range. They haven't given any improvements to range for drones. So be very careful about a drone doctrine trying to overcome those aspects. So yes, there we go with 2 major things to remember. Okay, moving on, the next step, what do we need to do as players? So we get our doctrines. We need to be thinking about getting an elite vessel. So where would our elite vessels have been? Well, if they had launched battleships before the faction battleships, we would have gotten a battleship, and then we would have gotten a faction battleship. But right now the faction battleships are available. I don't see a reason for anybody to purchase a regular battleship when it comes time, because this is where you should be going. Your investment should be high into what you're saving up for your battleship, so about 5 billion a month, and within 3 months you should have your faction battleship if you're on the lower end earning. Obviously, when sovereignty drops, you're going to hope that things skyrocket and you can earn 5 billion a week. So that is where you want to go. You want to go to that region where it's 5 billion this week, 5 billion the next week. I'm done. I've got everything I want. I'm a top class player. Now, moving on from this, where do we go in the next stage? Well, let's say that we're running towards getting ourselves up even further than this. We've got our battleship, we've got our battle cruiser. The next thing that a lot of players are going to want to do is hold a collection fleet. Now, what is a collection fleet? A collection fleet is actually basically you hold one of every single type of ship. Now, obviously, your skills need to be researched to maximum. It's going to take you more than a year. So you're never going to be able to fly everything perfectly. So once you have all of these ships purchased in your basics, and let's say that hopefully Sovereignty improves our earnings, and we can earn somewhere in the region of 120 to 200 billion in 3 months, we all can hold what we call a museum of ships or your collection fleet. So you hold one of every single type of ship, including your main ship. Sorry, right? So this museum of ships or this fleet collection has two purposes. Number one, you're going to want to change the way you play every once in a while. You're going to want to have something that gives you some excitement in the game. And this is a way to get some excitement out of it. So if you have all the battleships available to you, all 5 that are currently in the game, that's going to cost you almost 80 billion to purchase. No, wait, 75 billion, sorry, my mistake. 75 billion to purchase them all. There's 5 of them, they're around 15 billion a piece if you don't have the luck to get them at a cheap price. So 15 billion a piece, that's all of your battleships put together. Quick, easy, and you can get it done quite easily. So there you go, 15 billion a piece, 75. Then you got all of your battle cruisers. That's going to cost you around 5 billion just to get them all. It's possibly going to be more, so I'll leave it at around 85. Then you got all of your smaller ships. That's your cruisers, your battle cruisers, your cruisers, your destroyers, your frigates. You got your industrial ships. They're not so important, but they're going to be part of it. Right now, when it comes to the game, this is what it's worth. So that's going to add you up to 90. Another 30 billion for adding all of your next level ships. That's going to be your T9 ships. All of that 30 billion is what I'm adding for it. I'm estimating the remainder of the ships in the game to be worth 30 billion. That's your T9 and T10. And once you have passed this, then you can go through and you can buy all the best fittings for all of your ships. And when you do that there, it's going to cost you billions again. And that's what you want to do. You want to have them all best fit. Level 4 fittings on every single ship. Everything is level 4. Everything is the best weapon you can get. If they ever launch the B-type like they're supposed to, you're going to have B-type weapons. If they ever launch the A-type weapons, you're going to have A-type weapons. And you want to have those super elite ships. You want to have everything ready and collected. And you want to have billions in your account. And obviously they might introduce newer ships. They might introduce dreadnoughts, titans. We don't even know where this game is going to go eventually, but hopefully it will go that far. Now, if they want to secure the audience, they have to be willing to sacrifice some of their income. They have to be willing to go lower on income and improve the amount of play on the game. So they're going to have to give us easier gameplay again to improve the audience, and then maybe later on when they decide to up the level of the game all over again with the new league of ships, they can increase the difficulty. But this needs to be progressed slowly. They've been progressing way too fast with the game, and they have been killing the game way too quickly. So hold on to your Titans if you are going to launch them. Hold them on to the end of the year, December. That's a solid 12 months away. If you have that coming out then, keep everything easy, reduce the difficulty in your activities, make sure that players can build up their income. You want them to go straight for those dreadnoughts the moment they drop. You want them to lose dreadnoughts like mad, and then you want them to invest heavily to try and get back to the dreadnought. You want a dreadnought to be about 200 billion in value to produce, and you want it to take a very long time to produce. You have to own a Capsuleer outpost. You have to own a Corp outpost in that same area. All of that needs to be compulsory to build those. So yes, you want to make things that expensive in that way, and that is how they can make their money. But that is also good for the player base, because if they are that difficult to produce, it means that you have to have large teams and more players will be willing to work together at those points. So thank you all for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed my forecast on how we should be earning, where we should be thinking about our money going, what we should be doing with our money. And as I said, for the personal player, those collection fleets, which are going to be billions, is going to cost you months of time. And hopefully with the increase of sovereignty, we're going to be having better incomes, at least $1 billion to $2 billion a day. If you count that up and you count that 120 billion, that's 120 days. That's 4 months worth of gameplay. Obviously, very good income. But yes, you can have your full fleets. If it's going to be longer than that, let's say, for example, uh, 5 months, 8 months, it's going to be too boring. By the time you get to one ship, you're going to want to change to the next ship, and you're going to lose ships constantly. It's going to be too exhausting for you. Make sure that you think about things carefully when it comes to these aspects. So thank you all for watching. Have a good day.